Hello and welcome back to another episode of True Crime Metrix. What are we doing tonight, folks? We're looking at Wendi Adelson's testimony, her first testimony, the first of three and counting. In 2019, way back when? Is this audio on? Hello? Hello? I don't know if this audio is on. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. We've got a new microphone, folks. We are so professional now. This thing is huge. It looks like it could be sent into space. This is a moon microphone, as big as the moon and twice as powerful. Oh, great. Thanks, Susan Crow. Great. We are looking at Wendi Adelson's fantastic testimony, her honest, good-hearted, good-spirit testimony from 2019. You know, how's her memory? Well, it's selective. How's her attitude? You know, you're up here. The accused killers, Katherine Magbanua and Sigfredo Garcia, are sitting right there that killed your children's father that they loved, right? Tara Kawas is ready to ask questions. Georgia Kappelman is ready to ask questions. And of course, Mr. Hand Grenade as well. We're going to go through the whole thing, folks. A little bit of a late start today, but we hope you stick with us. Oh, hang on. Wait. I think we've cleaned up the audio from the Tallahassee Democrats video. How do we share screen now? Okay, new tab. I think we've cleaned up the audio, or we might have made it worse, but I guess we'll see. Are we ready? Welcome everybody in the chat. Angel Baby, Derek. Good to see you, Derek. Carrie B, Irene B, everybody be cool.
Good afternoon, Your Honor.
See that? That's what you call getting fancy. Should we see it again? I made that. We've got a new microphone. We've got intros. We've got musical intros and sort of visual intros, huh? How posh.
Good afternoon, Your Honor. It's John Lauro, Lauro, and I'm counsel for Ms. Adelson.
All right. And it's my understanding that the state is requesting the court to compel Ms. Adelson's testimony. Is that correct, Ms. Kaplan?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. And based upon that, Ms. Adelson, testimony you provide and anything derived from this testimony cannot be used against you, but you will be required to answer all relevant questions. Do you understand that?
Yes, Your Honor.
Right. Anything else you want to make?
No, Your Honor. Thank you.
All right. Anything else?
That's what you call a game face right there. Did you say, yes, Your Honor. Yes, Your Honor. Teacher's pet. I'm here. I'm the teacher's pet, Your Honor. Yes, sir, boss. Right away, boss. Can I get that for you, boss? Yeah, she loves it. I'm a legal person, and I call you Your Honor, Your Honor. But then she does this slow move round. It's almost reptilian, right? It's almost like she's a spider or something, right? Look at that slow move round, and then the eyes come to meet the courtroom.
Answer all relevant questions. Do you understand that?
Yes, Your Honor.
Right. Anything else you want to make?
No, Your Honor. Thank you.
All right.
It's chilling. It's really chilling.
Anything else?
No, sir.
All right. Secretary, please.
And just before we get rolling, guys, this is a brand new microphone. So how are the levels? Is my voice and the video around the same levels? Because we don't want to hear about it 45 minutes into the stream when someone finally says, "Oh, you're really quiet." Tell us now. Is it good? Is it bad? Look at her scanning everything like the spider she is. Have you ever tuned in to the consciousness of a spider and thought, is this guy afraid or is he prepared? You know? Because I think they're always prepared, right? They're very, very interesting creatures, spiders, don't you think? They don't run. they get into position, you know. Very clever boys.
Your Honor, could I just get an estimate on the time so I can tell the report?
I think she said about 45 minutes.
Would we then break after theirs and reserve cross for Tuesday?
No. We're gonna finish today with this witness.
I understand. I don't believe that we're gonna be able to do the deposition today.
That's up to you.
You guys can secure the report afterwards. Can we use our report?
Oh, tonight you mean? Have to work on that. Don't know.
Wait. Yours in the courtroom? Safe.
Does everybody know that our good friend from the channel, Leslie, has bought this very dress? I think she bought 2. What is she going to do with it? Halloween's coming up, so I guess she's going trick-or-treating as Wendi Adelson. Man.
Everybody be seated, please. Thank you, Ms. Captain.
Demented Furby, Udi, yes. A Furby gone wrong. A toxic Furby.
All right, please introduce yourself and spell your name.
My name is Wendi Adelson, Wendiadelson.
How are you employed, Ms. Adelson?
I'm an attorney.
All right, and do you know,
Just a little bit, if you would, please.
So just the little disclaimer, guys. We're going to be running through as was requested of the audience. We put it to a poll last night, and we're going to be running through. What day is it today? Friday, Saturday, Sunday. We're going to do Wendi's testimonies, unedited, just as they are. Then we're going to do a edit mashup of testimonies, because this answer to this question, what do you do for a living, Miss Adelson, changes year to year, right? Here, she's an attorney for a living. By 2023, she's, Georgia Kappelman asks, are you an attorney? She goes, by training, yes. So which is it?
Yes, ma'am. All right.
I'm an attorney.
all right, how were you employed back in 2014?
I was employed at FSU Law School.
Okay, and were you a member of the Florida Bar at that time?
I was.
All right, and did you know Dan Markel?
Yes, I did.
How did you know Mr. Markel?
He was my husband.
When did you meet him?
We met.
Fake. It's not even hidden well. And it makes me think, is she showing us a tell on purpose? Because I get the feeling, well, it's not more than a feeling. It's my educated assessment that all of her weird behavior on the stand it's camouflage. You know, it's taking the concept of a red herring to the extreme. She's just throwing out strange behavior all over the place and obvious cues of deception all over the place. Because if they're thrown out that readily, and so many of them, how can we identify? We're not able to see her baseline, is what I'm trying to say, right? Because she's just acting strange on purpose, so we can't see past this veneer of strange behavior to identify points where she actually gives us deception cues, right?
In 2004,
Okay, and when did you marry?
we married in 2006.
Taking it slow as well. We married in 2006. I mean, that was fast.
Did you ever live in Tallahassee?
I did live in Tallahassee.
When did you first move to Tallahassee?
We moved to Tallahassee in the fall, August of 2005. and we lived in Tallahassee.
August is a summer month, especially in friggin' Tallahassee, where it's burning like a camel's armpit.
That academic year, so from 2005 until the summer of 2006. And then we spent a year living in Miami from 2006 to 2007. And then I lived back in Tallahassee from 2007 to 2014.
Okay. Why did you move to Tallahassee the first time?
The first time we moved to Tallahassee for Danny's job, he got a job at FSU Law School.
All right. And what about the second time?
And the second time we moved back to Tallahassee because he had tried to get a job at University of Miami Law School and it didn't work out.
All right. So both times it was for his employment?
Yes,
Okay. Did you like living in Tallahassee?
I did.
All right. And did you live on Trescott Drive?
She should have said, what were your top 5 favorite things about living in Tallahassee? Was it going to the movie theater where the carpet hasn't been changed in a year? And the seats aren't even orthopedic corrective? Massage chairs? No massage chairs in the Tallahassee theater. Not like Miami, where the carpet is changed monthly, right? What were your top 5 favorite things about living in Tallahassee, Miss Adelson? What would she have said? What would she have said?
We did.
Hey, Gino, don't thank me. Thank the community, because we put it to a vote and the vote spoke, right? That's why we're here. I have tried to clean up the audio from the Tallahassee Democrats video, which I think it's better. Yeah.
That was our home.
And where are you from, Ms. Adelson?
I'm from Broward County originally.
Okay. And do you have family members in Broward currently?
I have one family member in Broward.
Where do you live currently? Or you can just tell us.
I live in Miami-Dade County.
And what about your parents? Where do they live?
They currently live in Miami-Dade County.
All right. And what about your brother, Charles Adelson?
He lives in Broward County.
And do you have any children?
I do.
And how many children do you have?
I have 2 children.
What are their ages?
They are 10 and 8, turning 9 soon.
Okay. Both boys?
Both boys.
And both the biological children of Dan Markel?
Yes.
How are your family members employed, specifically your parents and your brother?
My mom is not currently working very much. She helps out with my dad's office. My dad is a dentist, and my brother Charlie is a periodontist.
And does your family have a dental practice in South Florida
They do.
that they own and operate?
They do.
Is your family in South Florida wealthy? And that's a relative term.
Are you asking me to speculate?
No, I'm asking if they're wealthy. You may, if you don't know, you say you don't know.
It depends how you define wealthy.
Okay. Are they millionaires?
No.
Do they pay 25 grand a month rent? It depends how you define wealthy. You know, we had the Sultan of Brunei come to our house last year, and he said it was cute. Yeah, he said it was cozy. He called it a cozy apartment. So I guess to the Sultan of Brunei, we're not that wealthy.
Okay. When did you separate from Mr. Markel?
We separated in the fall of 2012.
And was part of the reason for your disagreement or separation having to do with how to raise the children in terms of your faith?
Yes, we had different ways of practicing our faith.
Okay. Do you know when you filed for divorce?
I believe it was the fall of 2012.
Okay, 9/10/2012 sound right to you?
That sounds right.
And when you separated initially in the fall of 2012, did you move to South Florida with the kids?
No, I did not.
You didn't go to South Florida with the kids?
No, I did not.
Was it your desire during that time to move with the children to South Florida?
I would say right then, no, it wasn't.
Are you familiar with a court order ordering you to come back to Tallahassee from South Florida?
I'm not familiar with that.
When you moved out from the marital home there on Trescott Drive, you lived at another residence in Tallahassee, is that correct?
I did.
And do you recall the address there?
I do. 3303 Aqua Ridge Way.
Yeah, I do. I do recall my address that I lived at for at least, how long was she there? It was at least a year, right? I do remember my address. It had a 3. It had a 3 in it. I think there were 3 3s in the address. 3303. I mean, that is such an easy number to remember as well. If it was like 2785. I mean, you remember, I remember every single address and zip code of everywhere I've ever lived in multiple countries, right? I mean, where the zip codes are different, you know, it's not believable. But again, she's throwing out this strange behavior. I do. 3303 Aqua Ridge Way. And it's funny that she was on a quiz show, because isn't that question answered as if she's guessing the answer on a quiz show, and she's looking to the quiz master, and you know, that intonation, Aqua Ridge Way? Crazy.
Okay. And was there a time during the time that you were living there at Aqua Ridge that you determined that you would like to move to South Florida with the children?
There was.
All right. And were your parents very involved in trying to facilitate that relocation?
Yeah, thanks, Renita, for bringing the folks over from Carl Steinbeck's channel. Only when he's done, of course. You know, we don't want to steal viewers.
Yeah.
My parents were supportive of me moving.
Especially not from Carl, or we'll be subject to his wrath, like Jack. Shit, what's his name? You know, Mr. No Talent Tallahassee. What's his bloody name? Jack. Oh, somebody tell me. I know it so well, but it's just gone blank.
Moving to South Florida.
Would you describe your parents as being over involved in your personal business?
Campbell. Thank you. I can smell crazy a mile away.
As compared to other people's parents?
Yeah.
Oh, this is a good one. I love how Georgia really picks up on the strange answer and gives her retort as well. As compared with other people's parents? Yeah. As in, what else would you compare it to? A pet cat?
Your parents as being over, you were living there at Aqua Ridge, that you determined that you would like to move to South Florida with the children.
There was.
All right. And were your parents very involved in trying to facilitate that relocation?
My parents were supportive of me moving to South Florida.
Would you describe your parents as being over involved in your personal business?
As compared to other people's parents?
Yeah.
I don't know.
See, Wendi has this filter for all questions, right? She's got no one to object on her behalf, but she's an attorney. She knows the standards of whatever it is, you know, things that you can object to. So in her mind just then, she went, that calls for speculation, because how would I know how another child responds to their parents. So she does these like self-objections while she's testifying, which is very unusual.
What was the child custody schedule when you were living at Aqua Ridge? And I assume Mr. Markel continued to live in the marital home on Trescott.
He did.
Okay, what was the custody situation with the kids?
So the custody situation changed over time and depending on the part of the year. But I think in the beginning, we would do a Wednesday night overnight. It was about 50-50 shared custody, but I don't remember the exact arrangement. I do remember in the summertime, it would switch to week on, week off, but during the school year, it was slightly different.
So still 50-50, but not necessarily every other week. It was mixed up within the week.
It was.
Okay. And you mentioned that you did develop a desire to move to South Florida. Did you file a motion to that effect on January 14th, 2013?
That sounds, I did file a motion. I don't remember the exact date,
Okay.
but that sounds about right.
Okay, we've got heavy rain here, folks. Is that coming through on the microphone?
All right. And in that motion, did you make some allegations that Mr. Markel was making things difficult for you at work?
I did.
Okay. And was that motion granted or denied?
That motion was denied.
All right. Denied with prejudice?
I don't remember.
Okay.
If you have it, I'm happy to take a look.
Okay. But in any event, you were not able to move at that time.
I did not move.
And were you upset about being stuck in Tallahassee?
I was relieved.
You really, you wanted to stay in Tallahassee?
I was happy at my job.
Look at her face. She loves that. I was relieved. I love Tallahassee. Let me tell you about my top 5 favorite things about living in Tallahassee. There's the movie theater where there's sticky floor. There's the law library with that weird smell. Tallahassee food trucks, book club, pretending I'm a part of the community.
It was denied.
All right. Denied with prejudice?
I don't remember.
Okay.
If you have it, I'm happy to take a look.
Okay. But in any event, you were not able to move at that time.
I did not move.
And were you upset about being stuck in Tallahassee?
I was relieved. Job.
It almost looks like a genuine smile, which I know is impossible with this woman. Look at that busy head shake as well.
If you have it, I'm happy to take a look.
Okay. But in any event, you were not able to move at that time.
I did not move.
And were you upset about being stuck in Tallahassee?
I was relieved.
You were relieved. You wanted to stay in Tallahassee.
I was happy at my job.
You know what that is? She's decided to take her brain to a place where she has a happy thought, right? She's told herself, look, you need to fondly remember Tallahassee and your time here because you loved living here and you loved doing your top 5 favorite things in Tallahassee. She's told herself, when that question comes up, don't actually think about living in Tallahassee, which you hated with a passion, but take your mind to a place where something made you smile. That's what she's doing.
I'm happy to take a look.
Okay. But in any event, you were not able to move at that time.
I did not move.
And were you upset about being stuck in Tallahassee?
I was relieved.
You were relieved. You wanted to stay in Tallahassee.
I was happy at my job.
Okay. Do you recall when your divorce to Mr. Markel became final?
The summer of 2013.
Okay. July 31st sound about right?
That sounds right.
Would you consider your divorce with Mr. Markel to be a nasty divorce?
I think most divorces aren't very pleasant.
Okay, but this one was like really unpleasant, right?
I found getting divorced to be unpleasant, yes.
And in the litigation that ensued between the two of you, you guys argued over things as small as a tennis racket. I noticed in one pleading.
I don't remember that.
Did he threaten to press kidnapping charges against you?
Objection, hearsay.
Overruled.
I don't
Remember
remember
that?
that. No.
Did he threaten to go after your law license? Remember that?
I don't remember that, no.
Do you remember him saying you failed to disclose a bunch of assets in the divorce process?
I do remember that.
Okay. Did you guys have any mediations as part of your divorce?
We did have mediations leading up to settlement.
2 8-hour mediations, correct?
I don't remember how long they were, but they seemed very long.
Yeah. And they both did not result in a resolution.
They did not.
All right. But you did reach a settlement, I think, kind of just on the eve of a trial on the matter, correct?
That sounds right.
Do you remember this motion that was filed by your deceased ex-husband on March 26, 2014, involving, among other things, that had to do with your mother, an allegation that your mother was disparaging the children?
Objection. that
I'm
should
sorry.
eliminate hearsay.
Overruled.
Disparaging him to the children is what I meant to say. Are you familiar with that pleading?
I am familiar with that pleading.
All right. And in that pleading, did he allege that you were depriving him of physical access to the children?
I don't remember the specifics.
Do you recall whether he was complaining about you refusing to communicate with him about right of first refusal to the children during your time with them?
I know he was frustrated about the Skyping.
Lack of communication via Skype.
It's
between
hard
he
to
and the
Skype
children.
with two toddlers, yes.
All right. And in that motion, do you recall him being upset about an allegation that you let the kids eat non-kosher foods?
I remember him being upset about that in general, but I don't remember whether it was an emotion or not.
What does that mean, non-kosher foods?
So kosher rules have to do with the separation of milk and meat, or dairy and meat. So non-kosher foods would be meat that hasn't been killed in a way that conforms with Jewish law, or the mixing of the two.
And is observing those types of eating habits something that's important to you?
It is not important to me.
And was it something that was important to Dan Markel?
It was important to Danny.
It was important to him that the children observe that way of eating, correct?
It was.
And in that motion, did he seek to restrict your mother's contact with the kids to supervised visits only?
I don't remember, but if you'd like to show me the motion, I can take a look.
Okay, but you don't remember that portion.
No.
All right. Do you remember the allegation that your mother made statements to the children that grandma hates you,
Overruled.
grandma says you're stupid, your father is trying to take my sunshines away?
Remember, at this point, folks, it's only 5 years since these motions were being filed, and Dan was meeting up with what's his name? Stephen Webster, to go and represent him in court, to take them down. I don't remember if Dan filed a motion to only permit my mother to have supervised visits with the children, which really got in the way of my plans of making my mother the permanent babysitter for my kids while I hang out with Julio by the pool.
Anything like that? Do you recall?
No, but again, I'm happy to look at it if you'd like to show me.
I understand. Do you recall that Mr. Markel was seeking sanctions against you personally in that motion?
I don't remember that.
Do you know whether this would have been a motion that you would have shown to your mother? Would she have been aware of it?
I probably would have shown my mom the motion.
Is it fair to say that your parents are very protective of you?
I think that's fair to say.
Is it fair to say that your brother is very protective of you?
I think that's fair to say.
Okay. What about Dan Markel? Did your family like him?
Do Want to specify a point in time?
Well, I'm specifically thinking of a statement you made in the interview after his death, where you indicated that your parents were very angry with him. Is that accurate?
At that point in time, during our divorce, I do think they were angry with him. They felt like he had treated me badly.
And the motion to preclude your mom from having unsupervised contact with your kids, that was still pending at the time of his murder, correct?
That's possible. I mean, I don't think anyone took that motion very seriously.
Okay. Did your mom take it seriously?
I don't think so.
Did Dan Markel take it seriously?
I don't know how Danny felt about a motion. If he wrote the motion, he was probably taking it seriously.
Can we put that on quarter speed there?
I do think they were angry with him. They felt like he had treated me badly.
And the motion to preclude your mom from having unsupervised contact with your kids, that was still pending at the time of his murder, correct?
That's possible. I mean, I don't think anyone took that motion very seriously.
Okay. Did your mom take it seriously?
I don't think so.
Did Dan Markel take it seriously?
Ugh, missed it.
Dan Markel take it seriously?
I see a smile. What, you know, what do we see here? We see inappropriate behavior. Dan is dead, shot in the head. His killers are right there. You're here to testify, and you're like, well, I couldn't tell you. Couldn't tell you. Did he take it seriously? Couldn't tell you. Calls for speculation, Miss Kappelman.
I don't know how Danny felt about a motion. If he wrote the motion, he was probably taking it seriously.
God, listening to her on slow motion really gives you nightmares, doesn't it?
I want to approach with some emails. Have you had an opportunity to review State's Exhibit 80?
Your Honor, could I see what the speaker is approaching? Your Honor, and I don't know if you want to do it now or I'm gonna request a sidebar on this.
What's that?
I'm gonna request a sidebar on this.
The letter identified first.
This is State's Exhibit 80. Just take a moment and flip through and make sure this is the exhibit you reviewed previously.
I've been shown these exhibits.
Okay. And are these exhibits fair and accurate copies of emails between yourself and your mother, Donna Ailes?
They are.
And the email addresses on this exhibit, donnaharvey@gmail.com. Whose address is that?
Thank you for the coffee, Steve. Just saw that come in.
Parents have a joint email address.
Okay, but you were communicating with one of them in particular and these emails.
Whoever signed the email, but it could be from either or both of them.
Okay, either could have used it, but we can deduce from who signed it who this one was from.
That sounds right.
Okay, and Wendi@gmail.com, is that you?
That is me.
All right, Judge, at this time, I asked to move into evidence. State's Exhibit
We'll go sidebar.
Look at the back of her head. She's only straightens the front and sides of her hair. Matted. It's like an old cat. An old wet cat. Look at that mess back there. What excuse is there for that? If you're going to sort your hair out, do the whole thing. That's interesting, Leslie, because just before tonight's show, I was like, maybe this whole Texas thing is bullshit. You know, where did that information even come from? I don't know. I can't say that it's a checked fact from my end. You know, it's just been a big topic of conversation. And when that happens, it's easy to just accept it, isn't it? But I thought, what if this whole Texas thing isn't real? So if she's never left Miami, you know, interesting. And if there's one voice, if I had to pick one voice to trust at the moment, in this case, it's Carl Steinbeck. Am I right, folks? You know, if I had to choose one, there's other people as well, but if I had to choose one, that voice would be the voice of Carl Steinbeck. Carl is goat. A cosmic goat. She really sits, you know, like a medieval queen or something, you know, way up on the balcony of the tower, looking at the townspeople, you know, the public, assessing, you know, Marie Antoinette. Let them have cake. The people are starving. Let them have cake. Guillotine. That would be a good solution if her big fat tree trunk elephant leg neck didn't break the fucking guillotine. Her head in a basket. That's the only route to justice as far as I'm concerned. Bring back the iron mask. Yeah, you like that writing. Let's look at that queen pose again. That assessing, you know, on the balcony of way up on the tower, you know, something from the 11th century or something, you know. The eye movement.
Let me give a brief legal explanation to the jury. You've heard a number of hearsay objections about things that were said by Mr. Markel, things that are in these emails by another person who may not be testifying. Normally, we refer to those things as hearsay, and they're not allowed without the person actually testifying, but there are a whole bunch of exceptions to that. And one of the exceptions to that is when it's not being offered to prove that what's said is true, but simply to show that it has been said because there's some relevance to the fact that these statements were made. So I am not offering these statements to show they're true. These persons, I mean, obviously, Mr. Markel can't be here for us to have cross-examination of him. We don't anticipate that the other Miss Adelson will be here as a witness. We can't test. The attorneys will not be able to test that to see whether that's true or not, but I am allowing it for limited purposes to show state of mind of these persons. So you may proceed, Ms. Kappelman.
Yes, Your Honor.
I noticed in the emails that your mother referring to, who I think is Dan Markel, as gibbers. What does that mean?
Gibbers was a nickname that I gave Danny when he was being really difficult and causing me a lot of pain. Was sort of a nickname I gave him to make him feel less threatening.
So it was a derogatory thing.
I wouldn't say it was derogatory.
Did you call him that?
Okay, so let's unpack that. Danny was being really difficult and causing her a lot of pain, folks. Okay, by what? He wanted one thing, to be a father to his sons, which he loved, to share his wisdom and to share his culture, his faith, and to bring them up well, and to continue a special bond. Those were the goals of Professor Markel. Okay, I don't think anyone can dispute that they were simply those goals. As far as causing Wendi distress, he didn't want any of that. He didn't want to cause his children's mother problems because that would cause his son's problems. This is what you call a mature adult. Yes, okay, he was broken up and shocked and begged for her to come back and fell into a depression and all the rest of it. He came with flowers to the coffee shop or something, right? Please don't leave. Don't break up our family. But that didn't last long. And surely, we've said it before, that Wendi was hoping that he would turn into a wretched, alcoholic, crack addict who had a fetish for large Asian prostitutes. Or something, particular. Something where she could say, oh, God, you know what he's into now? You know what he's doing now? He's doing large Asian prostitutes and crack. She would have loved that. And then the cherry on top for Wendi would be if he hung himself, high on crack before the Asian large hooker had even left. That would have been the story that she could tell. How he was a broken man, but he reformed pretty quickly. And he wasn't going to take your shit. So he wasn't being very difficult and causing you a lot of pain. It was the other way around, Wendi. But we've already identified that is exactly what you do. You use what would be a perfect descriptor of your motive and actions, and you apply it to the other person. So say that I'm a pickpocket, right? And then I blame somebody for pickpocketing me when they didn't. I'm applying my thing to them. That's what she does. And I think Donna does it too. And Charlie. It's an Adelson trait.
To his face?
No, I called him Danny to his face.
Okay.
And gibbers would be what? How would you spell that?
I don't know that I ever spelled it out. In the emails, I think it's spelled with a J. but I guess you could spell it with a G.
Jibbers.
That would be one way to.
Ms.
spell it.
Adelson, you had Mr. Markel's phone number programmed into your phone as Jibbers, didn't you?
That's right.
Thanks, Derek. In fact, I'm really in the bad habit of doing thumbnails 10 minutes before the start of the show. And tomorrow I'm committed to making one in the daytime. I want to, especially with the Wendi testimonies, we need some really blinding thumbnails, some really good ones. So tomorrow is going to be even better, Derek.
Do you know much about your brother Charles Adelson's business practices?
I know that he does implant surgery.
Do you know anything about whether he offers discounts for cash or does a lot of business in cash?
I have no idea.
Do you know if there's a safe in your parents' house that has stacks of cash inside?
I don't know about a safe with stacks of cash.
So you don't have a stack of cash in your parents' safe that's Wendy's stack?
No.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a secret. It's a secret. Yeah. The tight-knit family that only tell each other their business. They kept that from you, Wendi. They kept their refrigerator size safe a secret, stacked full of dirty money, stapled together, smelling like fairy liquid, washing up liquid.
Did Charlie Adelson like Dan Markel? And again, I'm referring to the time frame before his death.
I mean, I think he was also, he would listen to me when I would tell him about things I was upset about at the time with the divorce. So whether he liked him or didn't like him, he certainly was supportive of me.
Okay, but he never expressed any dislike.
No,
Did he mention hiring a hitman to kill your husband?
Objection, hearsay.
no.
Did he ever joke about he looked into hiring a hitman, but buying you a TV as a divorce present would be cheaper?
He did make that joke. He tended to repeat himself, and sometimes he would make jokes that weren't very funny about all kinds of things.
All right. And was that TV, did he buy you a TV as a divorce present?
He did.
And was that TV the same TV that was being repaired at your residence at the time that your husband was murdered?
It was.
Who made the arrangements for that TV repair?
I did.
Your mom didn't make those arrangements?
I don't believe so.
And the repairman was at your house that morning that your husband died between 8:30 and 9:15. Do you agree with that?
I remember he was supposed to come between 8 and noon, and then he ended up coming on the early side.
That's when he arrived, between 8:30 and 9:15.
It's my best recollection.
Did Charlie ever say that he considered all possible options to take care of the problem being Dan Markel?
Objection, hearsay. And,
Oh.
Your Honor, I just have a standing objection, so I don't keep
You bet.
interrupting this document. Thank you.
Did he ever say that?
No.
After the murder of Mr. Markel, did Charlie Adelson take you out for a celebration dinner?
No.
Do you recall any dinner shortly after Mr. Markel's death where you were with Mr. Charlie Adelson and vomited?
I do remember that dinner. I'm sorry?
Go ahead, I interrupted you.
After Danny died, I was terrified that someone was going to come after me or my children and harm us as well. And so I didn't leave my house for about a month. And when I finally felt ready to leave the house and have dinner, I told my brother that I wanted to have dinner, that I was ready to finally go to a restaurant and eat a meal again. And
Yeah, she hadn't eaten for a whole month, folks. I was finally ready to go out to a fancy, exclusive 5-star restaurant and have a $1,500 meal. I was finally ready to, sit at the bar and have enormous martinis that cost $35 each. I was ready. I was ready to walk into that restaurant that doesn't even have prices on the menu items, because if you have to know the price, you can't afford to be there. You know, I was ready to do it with my brother, with my narcissistic, up himself, fascist brother.
Barely eaten for a full month, just out of grief and shock. And so that night, when I finally ate for the first time, they ended up taking a while before they sat us, and they sat us at the bar, and I had a drink, and I wasn't used to eating anything or drinking alcohol, and I threw up at the table. The only time in my life I've done something like that, but it was certainly not a celebration.
And you never heard your brother refer to it in that way?
No.
You know, I could see if a 10-year-old boy had drank an entire bottle of champagne to himself. I could see that possibly landing in a projectile vomit, spontaneous vomit situation. You know, a 10-year-old boy just downs a full magnum of champagne really quickly and is so drunk that he's just spinning. That situation might make some sense. But a 35-year-old, 36-year-old woman, you know, I don't care how long it's been since you've had a drink, your stomach can handle it. A martini, even if she'd had a whole 10 martinis, it wouldn't do that. Yeah, we've still got to release our video about this Uvia dinner, folks. Got to do an edit on it though, and yeah, we've got our wonderful moderator who's grabbing some time codes for us to get from all the videos that reference the Uvia dinner, and we're going to splice them together, folks. We're going to splice them together and tell our story, our Metrix story. So be sure to subscribe to the channel, because that's not something you're going to want to miss.
Were you involved in any way in a plot to kill Dan Markel?
No.
Do you have any knowledge other than the statements you said your brother made or the jokes your brother made? Do you have any knowledge of anyone being involved in a plot to kill your husband?
No.
Do you know Katherine Magbanua?
I have met her before.
How do you know her?
We met one time at dinner when I came home, and my brother introduced me to her. And I think we might have gone to the beach once with her and a friend for a few hours.
Let me show you what I've marked as States Exhibit 36. Is that a photograph of you and Katherine Magbanua at the beach?
With her friend, yes.
Okay, and do you remember the friend's name?
I don't.
All right, is this a fair and accurate photograph from that event?
That looks like the three of us at the beach, yes.
Do you recall when this was taken?
I don't.
Okay, does Father's Day weekend 2014 sound correct?
So June 2014, that's
Yes, ma'am.
possible.
All right, would it refresh your memory to look at the data associated with that photograph?
Sure.
Yes, she told Jeff Lacasse, ramble on, about the dinner, and that she also told him it was a celebration. She told him that Charlie had referred to it as a celebration dinner.
Take a look at this top block there that references this photo. Tell me if you can advise when the photo was taken.
It looks like it was taken on June 15th, 2014.
All right, and do you know where the photo was taken?
I think that's South Beach.
Close to where your parents were living in a condo?
Yes.
And did you say how you know Ms. Magbanua?
She was dating my brother.
Judge, at this time, I asked to introduce State 36.
Sir, objection.
None from Mr. Garcia, Judge.
None for Ms. Magbanua, Your Honor.
It'll be admitted.
So which one is you?
I'm the one in the middle,
And which one's Ms. Magbanua?
the one on the left-hand side to the right of me in the photo.
And this one's her friend?
Yes.
Hi, Monica. Good to see you.
Yes.
Approach and show you one more photo. States Exhibit 37. Recognize this photo?
I don't recognize that photo, but I recognize the people in it.
Okay, who's in it?
That's my brother, and I think that's Katie.
All right, is Katie Katherine Magbanua?
Yes.
This is a very accurate photo of the two of them when, I guess, during the time that they were dating.
That looks right.
Judge, at this time, I'd ask to move to States 37.
Sir, objection.
Yes, Your Honor, this witness is not able to properly authenticate that picture in terms of when it was taken and where it was taken. So I would object.
Sustained.
Your brother dated Katherine Magbanua?
Yes.
Okay. And was that the context in which you became acquainted with her? Was through your brother?
Yes.
Do you know when they began seeing each other, your brother and Ms. Magbanua?
I have no idea.
Do you know when they stopped seeing each other?
I have no idea.
Do you know whether the relationship between your brother and Ms. Magbanua was a serious relationship?
I met many, many girlfriends of my brother's over the years. I didn't get any indication that it was a serious relationship.
Okay. He's a guy that has a lot of girlfriends.
He has had a lot of girlfriends.
How many girlfriends has he had since Katherine Magbanua?
I have no idea.
Several?
Probably.
And does he have a child with someone now?
He does have a child.
How old is your brother?
43?
Has he ever been married?
No.
Do you know whether your brother makes a practice of giving gifts to his former girlfriends?
I have no idea.
Are you aware of any specific gift he's ever given to a former girlfriend?
No.
Do you know Sigfredo Garcia?
No.
Have you ever met him?
No.
I want to ask you about the week prior to Mr. Markel's murder, like June 30th through July 10th, 2014. Were you in South Florida that week?
I know I was in South Florida for my father's 70th birthday. My dad's birthday is July 5th. I don't remember if his party was on his actual birthday or a little before or a little after, but I remember I went down for his birthday.
Can you tell the jury whether or not you were in South Florida on July 1st, 2014?
I couldn't say for sure.
Okay, but
I may have traveled that day. I don't remember exactly when I went down. I only remember I was there for probably about a week and then I went down for my dad's birthday, but I couldn't tell you more exactly than that.
Your dad's birthday's on the 5th
It is.
What month?
Of July?
Was Mr. Markel planning to leave town the day after he was murdered?
I believe he was.
Do you know where he was going?
I believe he was going to New York to visit his girlfriend.
And how old was Mr. Markel when he was killed?
He was born in 1972, and he died in July of 2014. Before his birthday's in October, he was 41.
41 years old.
Yes.
41 years old. I mean, that's nothing, is it? That's a kid, pretty much. Charlie's 2 years older than that now. What a shame. And already so accomplished. You know, had it all. And they took it away so they could go and live in Miami. Sick people.
Did law enforcement in this case analyze your cell phone?
I gave them my cell phone.
Okay. And in your cell phone, you have some contacts for Donna Adelson, Harvey Adelson, and Charlie Adelson, as well as Gibbers, who we've established as Dan Markel. Are all the phone numbers in your phone for them accurate phone numbers for those folks?
I would imagine so.
And I want to ask you about some recorded phone calls that were taken in association with this case. Did you have an opportunity to review a disc of some of those phone calls?
I did. The phone calls weren't played.
I'm sorry, hold on just a minute.
Yeah.
All right, so I provided you with a disc, correct?
Yes.
And a list of the specific phone calls and the voices on the specific phone calls that I was asking you whether you could identify.
Yes.
All right. And did you initial next to the letters of those calls that you were able to identify?
I did.
All right, I'm going to approach and show you State's Exhibit 175.
I just wanted to clarify that we didn't listen to the phone calls from beginning to end for each one, but that we were able to listen to parts of the phone call so that we could authenticate who was speaking on the phone call.
Okay, and when you say we, who are you referring to?
Myself and my attorney.
Okay, so you listened to, you felt enough of the phone call in order to be able to tell me whose voice was on the call?
That's right.
Okay, and when you initial next to the highlighted portions, okay, I guess I should say, the calls are listed by letter and number, each call, and then I have highlighted the names that I am asking you to authenticate. Is that correct?
That's correct.
All right, and if you've initialed next to that call, does that signify that you were able to authenticate that the highlighted names on that call were the voices of those people?
Correct.
Yes, and namely Donna Adelson and Charlie Adelson, correct?
Correct.
That must have been fun for Wendi, huh? Listening to Donna and Charlie. I wonder which calls they played. Was it the one where they were discussing Dave? Or the one where they were discussing the bump and the Latin King? AKA FBI agent.
Judge, at this time, I'd ask to move into evidence states 175.
There's an objection from Ms. Magbanua, Judge. I
Your
can't,
legal objection.
Your Honor, I think it would require a speaking objection, so I'm not sure how you would like to handle.
State your legal objection.
The legal objection is going to be relevance at this point, that's improper foundation.
All right, I'll overrule that objection. No, admit it. State's Exhibit 175.
I want to talk about your location on the day of Mr. Markel's murder. You know that law enforcement looked at your phone and sort of looked at your movements that day?
Yes.
Okay. And that information indicates you were home at the Aqua Ridge residence at approximately 12:27 in the afternoon that day. Is that correct?
I don't remember exactly what time, but that sounds right. I know I had left to meet some friends for lunch. So I guess I had left, I was home until that time. That sounds right.
All right. So it seems like kind of around lunchtime, about half afternoon.
Sure.
All right. And then shortly after that at 12:29, it appears you were traveling on Centerville Road. Is that a normal way that you would ingress and egress from your Aqua Ridge residence?
That sounds right.
All right. And when you left your residence, you said you were going to lunch. Did you go directly to lunch?
No, I stopped and made a purchase for a party that I was supposed to attend first.
And what was that purchase?
It was my first time purchasing bourbon. It was for not a bridal shower. It was for a bachelor. No.
You know something? I have never bought a bottle of bourbon in my life. I don't even know if I have ever tried bourbon. Scotch, yes. I don't know for sure if I've ever... Is Jack Daniels bourbon? I don't know. Let's look it up. Jack Daniels. Is it bourbon? Okay, so it's bourbon. Jack Daniels is bourbon. Okay, so I have bought a bottle of bourbon, but not very often. Never been much of a liquor kind of guy. But the point I'm making is that I would never, if I did buy a bottle of bourbon, I wouldn't go up to someone and say, "Oh, it was my first time purchasing bourbon." What is that? Why is that something that she points out? Obviously, she loves to distance herself from any alcohol or, what could be called, well, what would you call it? Vice behavior? Vices? She doesn't have any vices. She shits golden eggs. Yeah, Wendi Adelson shits golden eggs. And what else does she do? Her cheeseburgers are actually more holier than kosher. Anything that you could have kosher. So I mean, she is a saint, Saint Adelson, the first generation Saint Adelson.
It was for a wedding party, but it was the bride and groom together, and they had asked for people to buy certain alcohol to help them.
Like a stock the bar party.
A stock.
Hang on, we've got a dispute from our good friend Laura over here. Let's double check this. We need a checked fact. This says, I'll share this tab with you. The Whiskey Shop. So Jack Daniels is a bourbon in the eyes of the federal standards of identity for distilled spirits. What are the reasons? Okay, so rules defining bourbon must be made in the United States, not necessarily just in Kentucky, although 95% of bourbon is. Aging must take place in a fresh, charred oak barrel. The grain mixture, mash, must be at least 51% corn. The whiskey cannot enter the barrel at anything higher than 125 proof and must be distilled at no more than 160 proof. Nothing except water can be added. Simple whiskey can have colored and flavors added, although bourbon must be totally unadulterated. So does Jack make these rules? Yes. Jack Daniels is made in Tennessee, USA. Did you know that Tennessee is a partially dry state? Indeed, the home of Jack Daniels Distillery, Moore County, totally bans the sale of alcohol except for commemorative bottles sold at Jack Daniel's Distillery gift shop. Yes, in fact, they make and share their own new handcrafted white oak barrels and have been doing so for over 150 years. Yes, the mash is approximately 80% corn, 12% rye, and 8% malt. It comes over the still at 140 proof and no artificial coloring or flavors. So a bottle of Jack, even though it says Jack Daniel's old brand number 7 Tennessee sour mash whiskey, but you can order Jack. It is a bourbon, apparently, as far as the federal standards of identity for distilled spirits is concerned. Huh.
Okay. And do you remember what type of bourbon you purchased?
I don't.
Does Bullet bourbon sound familiar?
Maybe. It was,
All right.
they had a list of what they wanted, and so I asked the person at the store if they had whatever kind it was.
Okay. And do you recall where you went to purchase the alcohol?
I think I went on Thomasville Road at ABC Liquor.
Okay. Is there a reason you went to that particular store?
No, I don't know many liquor stores. That was the first one that popped up.
All right. And you made that purchase according to the receipt that was in your vehicle at 12:49. Does that sound about right to you?
That sounds right.
Okay. And did you make any stops between leaving your residence and going to the liquor store?
Maybe I purchased gas?
I don't know if you did or not, but I'm referring to your visit to the crime scene.
I did not visit the crime scene.
Okay. You did not pull up to the
Tab mixers, Leslie. Whatever happened to Tab, huh?
crime scene tape on Truscott Drive?
No. I was driving on Centerville Road, and sometimes I would take the shortcut through Truscott.
Yes, ma'am.
But when I was driving on Centerville Road, I saw some sort of tape or obstruction, and so I didn't turn.
Okay. And then you went from the liquor store straight to the restaurant?
Yes.
All right. And what restaurant was that?
What was the name of that restaurant?
Mosaic?
Mosaic.
Have you seen the photo?
Yeah, what a ridiculous thing even to buy the Bullet bourbon on the day that your ex-husband gets shot in the face, but then to forget that fact. That is never gonna if that was like an accident, that is, you're gonna go, you know what, it was so weird. It was so weird because my friend, you know, this is what tells me that the whole invitation, should we go to the invitation, guys? Bullet bourbon invitation. Hang on. Where do we? Fuck. You're invited, so please come over to a Stock the Bar couples shower for Lauren and Jamie, Friday, July 18th, 6:30 to 8:30. And over here on this little ridiculous card tied with a string, help the bride and groom stock the bar for their wedding by bringing a bottle of Bullet bourbon or your favorite wine or spirit. Can you imagine that wedding? Some load of good old boys kicking back with some bourbon, 1,400 bottles of bourbon. We're only having bourbon. The theme is bourbon. It's a bourbon wedding. Is there ever a less likely main drink to have? If you've got a wedding party, you might have 2 bottles of bourbon on hand. Just in case some old guy comes in and only likes bourbon. 1 bottle would probably be enough. But, you know, to say to multiple people that you're sending out invitations to your bridal bride and groom shower, couple shower, you know, how many bottles of bourbon do you need for your wedding? It should say, like, just bring a bottle of wine or liquor. You know, unless we're getting married in Kentucky at the Derby and everyone that's coming is a coal miner. It's a bluegrass theme wedding and we're only serving bourbon.
Photographs that were taken of your vehicle.
I have not. That looks like my car.
That looks like my car. Again, I could tell you every single car I've ever had. I could tell you where scratches were, dents, you know, a missing towing eye cap, an aftermarket mirror, a sun pass. I could tell you everything, every detail about every car I've ever had, and friends' cars, and my parents' cars, and whatever, you know, cars everywhere. I'm like General Isom. Tell me what kind of car he drives. Tell me all of his cars. His Ferrari. What kind of Ferrari? How fast can he go 0 to 60 in that Ferrari? In that F340? Is that with the supercharger? I think it's with the supercharger. Tell me about the Charger. He drove an unmarked police car. Tell me what kind of car. Was it a 1974 Dodge sedan? He thinks he's a blues brother. Your brother. Is he Jake or Elwood? Which one is he? Wendi, tell me. Tell me his car.
That looks like bourbon. Yeah.
But again, it doesn't matter to Wendi. This jury has got nothing to do with Wendi. It doesn't matter how fucked up she looks in front of this jury. They're nothing to do with her. They're never going to be anything to do with her. The only person relevant to Wendi in this room is Georgia Kappelman. Right? And she just can't resist. You know, she's letting Kappelman know. She's letting Kappelman know, I know that you know it was me. And I love secretly letting you know that I know you know it was me. Because there's nothing thing you can do about it. You think you're going to put me on trial? We'll see. First, you're going to have to get my brother. And then you're going to have to get my mom. And then I'll, you know, a lot can happen in that time, Miss Kappelman. Have fun. I'm going to be at the sushi restaurant.
Who had your kids the morning that Mr. Markel was killed?
The kids were at preschool.
But I mean, at what home did they wake up that day?
That morning, I think they were at Danny's house.
I think they were at Danny's house. You know everything about that day. How the fuck do you think they were at Danny's house? Yes, the morning he was shot, that day that should be imprinted. There's not even like an Ezra McCandless thing. Oh, I blacked out and PTSD from the stress of the situation. I don't remember. Something weird happened to my brain and something came into my brain and took all my memories out of my brain. She doesn't even do that line. It's just like, yeah, the day of the murder, I think they woke up at Danny's house. You don't forget that information. Unless you've got a serious fucking head injury. And even then. Okay, a little late on the mark today, but just to remind everyone to please leave a like on the video. Let's get that 100% rating. Subscribe to the channel. We've got shitloads more Adelson content coming out. God knows how long we've got to work with, at least until December 10th, right? That's when we're going to have Donna Adelson back in court with a new attorney. Maybe, maybe not. Who fucking knows? What else can you do for us? I mean, we do a lot for you. What can you do for us? If you want to support the channel, if you feel like that's something you want to do, the best place to do that this month is over on buymeacoffee.com, where you can buy us a coffee.com. You can buy a coffee for me. You can buy a coffee for Soap the dog, the sound controlist, who's in a funny mood because it's raining and she's had her schedule shuffled around. We drove to the park. We didn't walk to the park. And she's like, what's going on? What's going on? Anyway, if you want to get her a coffee, please get her a decaf and a very, very small cup. Also, Patreon in the description for the video. Fantastic memberships on Patreon. Merch shop. Merchandise. And yeah, no, but seriously, if you can do anything for us this month, buymeacoffee.com. The link is in the description for that. And yeah, thank you very much.
Did you stand to gain anything from your husband's death, like financially?
No.
Do you know how much the lawyers that assisted you with the divorce process and litigation that followed the divorce, do you know how much they cost?
How much my lawyers
How
or
much you
Danny's
spent on
lawyers?
lawyers? Yeah.
I honestly don't remember.
Fair to say it was a lot of money.
It felt like a lot of money to me.
How many different lawyers did you have during the pendency of your divorce and the litigation that followed?
I had 3.
Do you know how many Mr. Markel had?
I don't remember.
Hey, Ride-In Shotgun, thanks for posting that. But just before the link, where you copy that text, just before the link, there's not a space in between the @ and the HTTPS where the link starts, yeah? And it's not clickable. I just checked. Could you put a space there and put True Crime Metrix at the end of the /? That would be top stuff, Riding Shotgun. And thanks so much for everything you do. But I just thought I'd let you know that I noticed that just now. It's not a link and it doesn't go anywhere.
Do you remember your mom suggesting a plan to offer Danny $1 million to allow the relocation of you and the children to South Florida?
Objection, hearsay.
Overruled.
I'm sure I knew about it at the time that it happened. And then I had my memory refreshed about it recently.
Did you ever make the offer to Mr. Markel?
No.
Leslie, the attorneys for the divorce case, Wendy's attorneys, she had 3 of them. They were each on $300 an hour each. I mean, have I heard that? Is that a checked fact? No, but I have heard it, and I believe it. You know. So yeah, pretty expensive. Well over $100K, I'd say.
Did you move to South Florida after their father was killed with the children?
So after he was killed, I packed a weekend bag and went to South Florida for what I thought would be a couple of days, maybe a week. My son's birthday was July 29th, and I thought we'd be back in Tallahassee by then.
Did you ever come back?
I did come back a few times, but not permanently.
Okay, so you ended up moving there permanently.
I wouldn't say it's permanent, but I'm living there right now.
Okay. Well, it's been 5 years.
It has been a while. I've been exploring options for employment in many different places.
Okay. And when you initially left to go to South Florida, was that the same day as the funeral service for your husband?
No,
Was it the day after?
It might have been the day after or the day after that. I don't remember.
Did you change your children's last name from Markel to Adelson?
I did.
When was that done?
So after Danny died, there was a lot of press coverage, and CNN put pictures of my children's faces unblurred on national television. Newspapers put their names without any consideration to the fact that they're children. And
I
I thought
appreciate that, but the question is when did you change their name?
when they started school, I registered them under my name, hoping it would keep them safe.
And
and
was
then-
that approximately a year after their dad was killed?
It was whenever I registered Ben for school, so it was soon after. But I didn't legally change their name.
Yeah, almost immediately, but then we had paperwork, and I didn't want to file the paperwork, because that would look prepared, so they enrolled in the school, and we were worried about Jeff. He was out there and just loose, running around looking for blood, looking for any Markel blood.
Until after that.
Okay. And where did they start school? When you say you changed their name when they started school, was that here in Tallahassee or somewhere else?
No, it was in South Florida.
So that fall, they started regular enrollment like you would in the normal beginning of the school year.
That's right.
Okay. And did you also eliminate your older son's middle name
When I legally changed their names, I did.
and you just dropped that from the name?
I did.
Okay. And that was a name that came from Dan Markel's deceased maternal grandmother. Is that correct?
The name started with an A, which was to honor my grandfather, Aaron Adelson. And the second half of his name was to honor Danny's grandmother.
Okay.
So we lost an honor to both families.
Okay, thank you. No further questions.
Garcia.
Oh, Wendi has some fun with this guy. I mean, she had some fun with Georgia as well, but now Mr. Hand Grenade's stepping up to the plate, and it's like she's just like, who is this insignificant little fuzzball in front of me now in a suit? Hello, little fuzzball in a suit. What do you want? You want to ask me some questions, do you? Well, I'm an attorney, and I'm an Adelson, so good luck with that.
Ms. Adelson, I represent Mr. Garcia, and I'm going to ask you some questions, okay?
Okay.
Charlie's your older brother or
I don't-
younger brother?
I'm the youngest in the family, so both my brothers are my older brothers.
And how many years older is Charlie than you?
He's approximately 3 years older.
Would you describe your relationship with your brother as a close relationship?
I would.
And the brother I'm referring to is Charlie. And just for the record, all the questions I have with regards to brothers is going to be focused just on your brother Charlie, okay?
Okay.
Charlie graduated high school,
He did.
college,
He did.
dental school,
He did.
so he has substantial educational background.
Yes.
Would you consider him to be book smart?
He did very well in his classes.
So that would
So
potentially be a
yes,
yes. What about street smart? Do you think he was kind of street smart?
I think he's good with people.
And would it be fair to say that he has a wide range of friends, different types of friends?
He has a lot of friends.
Would you say, well,
Oh, this is so disgusting. She hates her brother. You know that, don't you, folks? She despises Charlie. She despises her mother, Donna. That was such a put down when Mr. Hand Grenade asked if Charlie was book smart. Look at it again. She's like, what are you kidding? Me, I'm book smart. I'm book smart Adelson, not Charlie. Idiot Charlie. who interferes with my life and has strong opinions about what I should do because he's trying to please my interfering, narcissistic, overbearing mother, who I also hate and can't wait for them to be arrested and jailed for the murder of my husband, even though I set it up and manipulated them into taking all of the weight of the plot onto their own backs. You know, this is the Wendi Adelson long con, the big scheme. What's really going on here? It's not just about killing Dan. It's about everything else as well.
Would you consider,
Well, if anyone thinks I'm wrong, please, please try and argue me on that.
him to be book
I don't care how long you've followed the case. I've followed the case for a long time too, you know. More so than anything else. And that's absolutely what's going on. It's not a question in my mind at all.
smart?
He did very well in his classes.
So that would
So
potentially be a
yes,
yes. What about street smart? Do you think he was kind of street smart?
I think he's good with people.
And would it be fair to say that he has a wide range of friends, different types of friends?
He has a lot of friends.
Would you say, well, are there certain friends that he goes out nightclubbing with?
This is what she does. You know, we were talking about her self-objections. There was a lot of calls for speculation with Georgia Kappelman. And Wendi has a way of answering the questions that even though she can't object while she's giving it testimony, of course, she has a way of answering questions that shows what that objection. She did it multiple times with Georgia Kappelman, where the objection would have been, if anyone was objecting on her behalf, calls for speculation or lack of personal knowledge. With Mr. Hand Grenade, she's doing a lot of relevancy objections, right? He has a lot of friends. Yeah. So how is that relevant? She has this way of getting that across.
I don't know. He doesn't talk to me about night clubbing.
Oh, night clubbing, naughty Charlie. He goes out late and he drinks and he has a lot of girlfriends.
Well, when he has social events, do you ever go out with him socially?
I haven't in a long time. I'm pretty busy with my kids, but I have once or twice gone out with him.
And is it the same types of friends that he goes out to these social events with?
He would usually go with his roommate, who's, I don't think they're living together anymore, but they lived together for a while.
Would you agree with me that your brother Charlie was I don't want to call him like a socialite, but he would frequent the nightclub scene?
I honestly don't know that.
So your single brother, pretty handsome guy, right?
I think he's handsome.
Right. We've seen his pictures. Good looking guy. Never been married, right?
No.
And what kind of car does he have?
For a while, what does he have? What is he driving right now?
Well,
He likes cars. Like
he has a lot of cars, right? And these aren't like Hondas or Toyotas. They're Mercedeses and Ferraris, right?
he drove an unmarked police car for a while.
But that wasn't my question. My question was, did he ever have a Mercedes?
I think so, yeah.
Okay, and it wasn't like a C300. It was like a 5 Series, right?
I honestly don't know anything about cars.
Well, it was the bigger Mercedes, right?
It was big.
It was the bigger one. And he also had a Ferrari, right?
I know he had one really fancy car, but I don't remember what brand it was.
Okay. So you're telling this jury that you don't remember if your brother had a Ferrari?
Cars are really not important to me. You saw mine. I drove a minivan.
Well, but you're not your brother, right?
I am not my brother.
And
No,
you-
I knew he had a fancy car. I just don't remember if it was a Porsche or if it was a Ferrari. It was something fancy.
Something kind of fancy,
Yeah.
right? Okay. So you have a pretty successful brother, right?
He's successful. Yeah.
And he likes to show off his success with his extravagant cars, correct?
He likes fancy cars.
Okay. Handsome guy, in good shape, right?
He's handsome.
And you indicated that he had a lot of girlfriends, right?
Yes.
Now, I know you didn't go clubbing with him, but were you aware that he would go to like Miami Beach a lot?
I mean,
or South Beach?
sure. I mean, I couldn't say how often he went out or where he was going. It's just not something I would really talk to him about.
When your brother took you out to dinner and you vomited, do you remember what the restaurant was?
I do.
Which restaurant was it?
It's called Uvia.
Okay, where's that located?
It's on Lincoln Road.
Okay, and Lincoln Road's in South Beach, right?
Lincoln Road is in South Beach.
Are you aware if your brother took steroids?
No,
So she named her second child after a road in South Beach.
I'm not aware if he took steroids.
What about if your brother used illicit drugs?
I'm not aware of my brother using illicit drugs.
And the fact that you're not aware if he used it doesn't mean he didn't use it, correct?
No, I'm just saying I don't know.
Do you know when Luis Rivera started serving your brother drugs?
I don't know anything about that.
Your brother would frequent South Beach and Miami Beach sometimes, correct?
I don't know.
You don't know? The restaurant that he took you to was in South Beach, correct?
I was living close to that restaurant at the time.
And your parents had a home in South Beach also, correct?
My parents did not have a home in South Beach. They were renting an apartment.
I'll rephrase it. They had a place to stay in South Beach, correct?
They
Correct.
were renting an apartment for 25 grand a month, but I don't know if they were wealthy. That really depends on how you define wealth.
Correct.
I have no further questions.
Magbanua?
Thank you, Your Honor. Good afternoon, Ms. Abelson.
Good afternoon.
How are you doing today? You doing okay?
I'm fine.
You nervous?
Am I nervous?
Yeah.
Yes, I'm nervous.
Okay. Now you stated on direct examination that you are a lawyer,
I am a lawyer.
right? So you understand that the oath that you took before you took the stand, correct?
Yes,
You know the consequences of not being truthful here,
of course.
and you also have a separate obligation as an attorney to tell the truth, right?
Of course.
Now, do you know who killed Dan Markel?
No,
Did your brother have anything to do with killing Dan Markel?
I don't believe so.
Your mother is Donna Adelson.
She is.
Where is she right now?
Right now, she's with my children
Not in Tallahassee.
in Miami.
Okay, she's not in jail.
No,
She's never been arrested before.
no.
Okay, she's not even testifying in this case, is she? To your
No.
knowledge.
To my knowledge, no.
What about your brother Charlie? Is he in Miami right now?
He's probably in Fort Lauderdale right now.
Okay, but he hasn't been arrested,
No,
hasn't been charged,
no.
and he's not testifying in this case, is he?
No. Arrested? My mother? No. My innocent, what did she call her in the fucking podcast? She is warm, loving, and beautiful, kind and beautiful. She thinks she is fat. She once got refused Weight Watchers because she didn't meet the excess fat weight count. My mother thinks she is stupid. My mother, who won the New York spelling bee for 8th graders when she was in 6th grade 60 years ago, that we still talk about like it's a recent achievement.
No,
Are you aware if the state has attempted to subpoena them to come to court?
I believe they have received a subpoena to come to court.
Okay, and it was for them to come and testify in this trial, or you don't know?
I don't know for certain.
Okay, but you know they've received some form of subpoena.
I heard about that.
When is the last time you spoke to your family, your mom in particular?
This morning, I called to check in on the boys.
Okay. How is your relationship with your parents now? Is it estranged in any way, or you still have a good relationship with your parents?
I still have a good relationship.
What about your brother?
Yeah, I see them at least three times a week when I drop off the boys and pick them up and go to eat sushi with my date, with my Julio date. You know, of course I have a good relationship with my parents. They babysit for free and also pay for everything that the boys need, which allows me to keep all of the money that I got from the fallout of my ex-husband's murder to myself. Pretty much don't need to work again ever, because now I am a multi-millionaire ass.
Charlie.
I still have a good relationship.
You know, I don't know if we benefited financially from the killing of Professor Markel. I only get $4,800 a month. All the money from his checking account for his funeral expenses, and the money that's released from his life insurance, who his sister is now the custodian of course, that is released to me as legal guardian of the boys. And I don't give them any of that money because my parents pay for everything that the boys need: their jet skis, their Ralph Lauren top hats, their pocket watches and Filofaxes, you know, their experiments,
When is
rainforest mud treatments, and all the sushi they can eat.
the last time you spoke to Charlie?
Probably last week at some point.
Okay. Now, you had mentioned that Charlie is a father.
He is.
When did he have his child? Is it a boy or a girl?
It's a boy.
Okay.
He was born in December 2017.
Okay. So about, I would say that's over a year after Miss Magbanua's arrest.
I couldn't say.
Okay. Do you know who the mother of that child is?
I do.
Who is she?
You want her name?
Yes.
Her name.
So December 2017 is when Roman was born then, okay? So let's take 9 months off that, and we've got February or March for the conception of Charlie's child, which, what month was the bump? It was summer, wasn't it? Was it? I think it was June, maybe. So after the bump, Charlie had someone pregnant within 8 months. It's pretty convenient, isn't it? Pretty quick going.
Name is Bree Price.
Okay. And
And a fucking easy target as well. The nanny of Dave's kids, who's like, I need to have a kid right now so that the cops will see that I'm a father figure and not a criminal mastermind, and they'll leave me alone. I need a kid right now. Can we order one online? What about from Vietnam? Next time you go over to Vietnam, Mom and Dad, see if you can bring me back a son.
is he married to her now?
He's not married.
Are they still together?
Depends on the day.
And do you know if he has any other girlfriends at this point?
I have no idea.
Oh, it was April 2016. Thank you, Leslie.
All right. Have you been keeping up with the media coverage in this case?
I don't watch any media related to this case.
Okay. So, but you are aware of the attention that has been brought on this case?
I'm aware only because of the constant death threats that I receive, yes.
Okay. So just to specify, you haven't watched any.
Yeah, I got some fucking death threats for you, Wendy. Yeah, I'm gonna be sending you, Wendy, an open letter by way of YouTube media. So look forward to that. Hope you get it.
Of the specials that have been on air about this case?
I have not watched any of them.
Do you know if your parents have watched any of the specials on this case?
I advise them not to. They may have seen bits of them, but I don't know for certain.
What about your brother Charlie?
I don't know.
Did you watch the state's opening statement in this case?
I did not.
You did not.
I did not.
So you're not aware of what the state's theory is in this case?
I'm not.
Now, you mentioned on direct examination something about listening to some recordings that the state provided to you.
Yes.
Okay, is that the first time you've ever listened to those recordings?
Yes.
Do you know what those recordings are about?
There are many, many recordings.
Okay, did they give you all of the recordings?
I don't know. I listened to what I was given, but I don't know if there's more.
How much time did it take you to listen to the recordings that you were given?
Again, I didn't listen to the entire thing, so probably about an hour to go through all of the recordings and listen to excerpts of each of them.
Of each of them. So you're not aware if the state gave you all of the recordings that they provide, that they have in their possession?
I have no idea.
Okay. Did they have you listen to any recordings that occurred before April 19th of 2016?
I don't-
Sorry, 2016.
So I'd have to see the document to remember the exact date on it. I do remember my birthday's in April, so I remember the dates being close to that, but I don't remember exactly.
Did they ask you to listen to the phone call where Charlie Adelson is talking to Miss Magbanua about work?
I listened to something.
Sustained.
So it's fair to say that they only let you listen to portions of the phone calls that they think are important.
I was given conversations and I listened to some of them to authenticate voices, but I don't know. I imagine they thought it was important for me to listen. That's why.
Yeah, Neverly. Wendi and Amber would probably get on like a house on fire, right? I mean, they love destroying men. They love lies and deception and horrible accusations, false accusations. Yeah, turn-ons, false accusations, destroying men, and media attention. Turn-offs, honesty, good spirit, and any benevolent thought.
I did.
Did you listen to a phone call?
Ask your question, don't answer until I rule, please, ma'am.
That will be wrong and questioning things.
Let's go that far.
Well, they have the same birthday? You're kidding. I think I have heard that before, but I've forgotten it. Wow. Far out. And what's the other big one that's a big triangle? Jodi Arias, Luis Rivera, and Stephen Avery are all July 9th. Cancers. Ezra's birthday is October 6th. Now, as we move through this Tara Kawas cross-examination, I can't help but feel a little bit excitement growing that tomorrow we will be seeing Christopher DeCoste in his element, ripping on Wendi. Good on you, Christopher.
Needed to wake y'all up. Go ahead, Ms. Clark.
So the question was, Ms. Adelson, did they have you listen to any phone calls where it was a conversation between your brother and your mother? If you were able to identify any conversations like this?
I think I did yes.
Now, I want to talk about the circumstances surrounding your actual divorce,
Okay,
which I believe you said was finalized in 2013, right?
yes,
You just left your divorce papers on a mattress of Dan Markel in the house and left town. Is that correct?
no.
How is it that you delivered the divorce papers to him?
I called him to let him know that I wanted a divorce. It wasn't the first time I asked for a divorce, but it was the last time. And told him that I would see him when he got home, not home, but back to Tallahassee. And then I did leave the papers for him, but I didn't leave town. I was still in Tallahassee.
Okay. So he was actually aware of that you were going to be seeking a divorce before you actually delivered the papers to him?
I had asked for a divorce several months earlier.
Okay.
That's when we started going to counseling. And he told me that if I tried to get divorced from him, that I could leave with the clothes on my back and that he would take the kids and that I would be penniless. And so when I actually asked for a divorce, I thought it best not to be there.
So is it fair to say that this was not a mutual thing between the two of you, that Danny did not want a divorce?
I don't think he wanted to get divorced.
How close is your brother's relationship, Charlie Adelson, with your mother, Donna Adelson?
I think they're close.
Would you characterize a relationship as closer than you are with your mother?
No, I wouldn't say that. I mean, I do think they talk more frequently than I do, but I don't think closeness always has to do with the frequency of communication.
And you had said on direct that your parents were not happy with Dan Markel's behavior during the divorce.
No, they didn't think he was treating me well.
And is this just Donna Adelson, your mom, or was it both Donna and Hart Adelson?
I'm sure both of my
Well, that reminds me, Neverly, I've got to ask you about the tracking, because it's 2 weeks tomorrow, I think.
parents felt that way.
Did they ever express those feelings to you?
Yes,
Did they call in names?
yes.
Okay. Did one parent do that more than the other, or it was consistent between the two?
I think it was consistent between the two.
Okay. What kind of names did they call them?
I mean, I've had my memory recently refreshed.
You just say copacetic and I missed it.
Dan Markel's behavior during the divorce.
No, they didn't think.
Oh, 103 in the stream. Welcome, everybody. How we doing on those likes? If you're new to the show tonight, please leave a like on the video and help us get that 100% rating. We deserve it. We're almost there. Just a few more likes. You could help us cross the line. And please, look, I had a coffee, but it's got cold. If you'd like to buy us a hot cup of coffee, head over to buymeacoffee.com and support the channel. Thanks so much, guys.
I think he was treating me well.
Link in the description.
And is this just Donna Adelson, your mom, or was it both Donna and Hart Adelson?
I'm sure both of my parents felt that way.
Did they ever express those feelings to you?
Yes,
Did they call in names?
yes.
Okay. Did one parent do that more than the other, or it was consistent between the two?
I think it was consistent between the two.
Thanks so much, C. Malone and Mary, for the super stickers. Congratulations, guys. You're superstars for supporting the channel. And if anyone else would like to do that, head over to buymeacoffee.com. Best place to support the channel this month, guys.
Too.
Okay. What kind of names did they call him?
I mean, I've had my memory recently refreshed, so I saw things, but my memory is, I don't remember name calling, but I did recently see emails where they called him names.
Now, after the divorce, you started dating
I
other
did.
people, right? When is it that you had your first, I wouldn't say serious boyfriend, but your first boyfriend after Dan Markel?
Probably within a month.
I don't know about that writing. I only drink coffee. I only drink no tequila. Yeah, it can be dangerous. But yeah, that's why we need so many coffees, guys.
Okay. When did he, if you know, did he start seeing anybody else after the divorce?
He did, but I don't know when it started.
Okay. And is that Amy or was it some other person?
I know about Amy, but I don't know if there were other people before.
And water. I drink water also, but I get all my water from the cemetery.
Amy.
Did you know what, at the time of the murder, do you know what, if any, future plans Dan Markel had?
I couldn't really say about his future plans, but I felt like by then he and Amy were pretty serious and he was trying to spend as much time in New York as possible.
Do you know if his intention was to, and it's only if you know, it was his intention to remain in Tallahassee, or do you know if he was planning to leave the state?
I think he always planned on leaving Tallahassee. It was just a question of when.
Okay. Do you know why? Did he have an aversion to Tallahassee, or
No,
just...
it wasn't an aversion to Tallahassee. He was a very ambitious person. And so from the moment we arrived in Tallahassee, he was always looking for a stepping stone toward a better university where he could teach.
And he took a very special interest in what he did, which is, he's a law professor.
Right.
He graduated from Harvard and he studied criminal law.
Right. That was his specialty.
Okay. And did there come a time where you were dating someone by the name of Jeffrey Lacasse?
Yes,
You know who that is?
I do.
Do you remember when you started dating Jeffrey Lacasse?
I don't remember exactly, but 2013.
Okay. Do you remember how long you dated him for?
I remember it was less than a year, but probably more than 6 months.
Were you dating him at the time leading up to the homicide, which would be July 18th, 2014?
We broke up a few weeks before Danny was killed, or a week or so. We broke up before Danny was killed.
How would you describe your relationship with Jeffrey Lacasse?
I mean, I think it took different turns. I think it was more casual in the beginning, and then it was getting more serious. And then I was feeling more committed to the relationship. And then in late June, we had this big fight. And after that point, I didn't really want to be with him anymore.
Do you know what the fight was about? Do you
I do.
remember?
I remember what the fight was about.
What was it about?
He didn't trust me.
In terms of
He
seeing
thought
other people?
he thought I was cheating on him.
Okay. And you said you broke up. When was that?
We broke up. It would have been one of the last weekends in June.
So fairly close to when the homicide occurred.
Right.
Now, that spring break, which would have been the month.
Yeah, check this out, guys. Our good friend Leslie got her t-shirt today, her big True Crime Metrix logo t-shirt. It looks quite good. Everybody wants one, right? Head over to the merch store, guys. Head right on over to the merch.truecrimemetrics.com merch store. So much merch, so much Judge Everett merch, Don't Be an Adelson merch. Fantastic merch.
Of March.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't you and Jeffrey Lacasse come down to Miami?
We did.
Okay. And you stayed with your brother, Charlie?
We did.
Okay. And do you know at that time who he was dating?
I don't.
Okay. Does it sound, do you, if I say that was when he was dating Katherine Magbanua, is that a correct statement or you don't remember?
I don't remember.
Okay. Do you remember having dinner with Jeffrey Lacasse?
Merch has Judge Everett blankets, yes, writing, and pillows. Judge Everett pillows, which are becoming a #1 seller. We've got the Judge Everett blankets, slept like a baby, range of colors. What do you think? I want to send one to Judge Everett. A blanket and a pillow for Judge Everett. Where are the pillows? The pillows are great. Where are the pillows? All right, it's just the little square pillow, like a sofa cushion. But yeah, jail sucks. Judge Everett slept like a baby pillows. Oh, they got bigger size as well. Okay. Mugs, phone cases, stickers, Judge Everett stickers. What? Look at him there. Isn't he great? Oh, I'm not sharing it. Oh shit. Okay, well there it is. Whoops. Forgot to share the merch. Where's the Judge Everett pillow? Let's go back. Judge Everett pillow. Judge Everett blanket. Where's the blanket? Love the Judge Everett merch. I want to furnish my entire house using only Judge Everett merchandise.
At a restaurant and with your brother and that Katherine Magbanua was there?
I have a vague recollection of it.
Okay. And do you remember if this restaurant had outside seating?
We always used to go to the same restaurant, and so I know the restaurant, it has outside seating.
Well, he caught me cheating on him, so I didn't want to date him anymore. Even though that was all part of my plan to make him jealous, and I was really hoping that he would strike me in the face. She was so prepared for that. I'm amazed that she didn't do a full amber and get the bruise kit makeup colors out, you know? The bruise kit. And go to the court to file for divorce, and then make sure that every paparazzi camera out there gets a full. She basically came out with her cheek, her fake bruised cheek, pointing at every camera, like with a big arrow, saying, "Look, take a picture of this. Take a picture of my face." You know, it was so fake.
Okay. And when you met Katherine Magbanua, Charlie introduced you to her as his girlfriend?
Probably.
Okay.
Definitely as someone he was seeing, right? I don't remember if he used the term girlfriend, but in a romantic kind of way.
Okay.
Not as just a friend.
And am I characterizing Mr. Charlie Adelson correctly when I say, you know, you had said he has lots of girlfriends?
I've met lots of girls over the years, which is why it's hard to remember whether I had dinner with one person versus another.
Do you know what his thoughts and beliefs are in marriage? Does he not believe in marriage?
I don't think he's so pro-marriage, no.
Okay. Do you know how many times you met Katie? We talked about the time on the beach, and then we've already now talked about a dinner.
I remember vaguely those two. I don't remember any other time.
Do you remember the name of the person that was in that picture with you?
No.
Okay. Does Yindra Velasquez Mascaro sound familiar?
No.
Okay. Now, you didn't have a really close relationship with Katie, right?
No.
Okay. Did you know that Katie has 2 kids?
I did.
Remember, Ms. Kawas, we're not going to get a first name.
Oh, I'm sorry, Judge, I apologize. Did you know that Miss Magbanua had children?
I did know that.
Okay. Did you ever discuss with Miss Magbanua the details of the divorce that you had before she even knew who your brother was?
That wouldn't be possible because I only met her with my brother.
Okay, so you didn't talk, your relationship wasn't a close relationship where you would talk to her about Dan Markel.
No.
Do you ever remember having a conversation with Miss Magbanua about Dan Markel and your divorce?
It's very possible that I brought it up,
Mhm.
but
Nothing stands out.
No, not at all.
Now, I want to talk to you about the time of the murder, okay? The day before the homicide, all right?
Okay,
You had talked about your custody situation with Dan Markel, that it was a week on, week off. Is that correct?
that's right. at
And an
that time.
overnight stay switch on a Wednesday.
That's my best memory.
So a better way to describe it would be if it's your week, you have the boys, but on Wednesday night, they will sleep at Dan Markel, do an overnight sleepover at Dan Markel.
Right.
And then return them to you the next day.
Or return them to school.
Thank you, Mary, for the coffee on buymeacoffee.com. Much appreciated, Mary. Thank you very much.
And then,
And then you pick them up in the evening.
right.
So the day of the homicide, do you remember what day of the week that was?
I believe it was Friday.
Okay. So the day before would have been a Thursday.
Right.
Okay. Do you remember what you were doing that day?
I don't.
Is there any way that you would have been walking down Trescott Drive with your two sons the day before his murder?
No, I don't live in walking distance, so there's no reason why I would have been walking down the street. No.
You and Mr. Markel weren't on that kind of talking or speaking terms where you would be at the Trescott home and he wasn't there.
No,
Okay. You wouldn't go and take the boys for a walk on Trescott Drive.
I don't think so, no.
And as far as you knew at that time, the kids, what school were they attending?
They went to creative preschool.
Okay, and when you would drop the kids off at Creative Preschool, do you have to sign them in?
You do have to sign them in.
Okay, and then, so there should be a record of the days that the boys would have been at the preschool.
That's right.
What time would you drop the boys off? Do you remember?
I
Is it
do-
an early morning thing or?
I would drop them off in the morning. I don't remember, maybe it was 8, maybe it was 9.
Oh, but nothing late, like 11?
I don't think so.
And then what would be the usual time you pick them up in the afternoon?
I think it would depend on whether I was teaching or if I had court, what I was up to, but my guess is sometime between 3 and 6, I would pick them up.
So would it be fair to say that, around 11 o'clock in the morning, the boys would probably be in school on a weekday?
That would be right.
Do you know someone by the name of Whitney?
I do know Whitney.
Who is Whitney?
Whitney was a girlfriend of my brother's.
Okay. Do you know who introduced Charlie to Mr. Adelson to Whitney?
I don't.
Do you know how long they were dating?
I don't.
Do you remember when they started dating?
I don't remember when they started dating.
Okay. When did your brother buy you that TV?
I remember having the TV in the house on Aqua Ridge. So sometime after the fall of 2012.
Yeah, it was sometime after the divorce and before the murder. There's a window. Work with it.
Sometime between 2012, 2013, something like that.
Do you remember making a phone call to Charlie that morning and having a conversation with him without going into the details of that conversation?
Which morning?
The morning of Danny's murder.
Yes.
I'm sorry, Judge. Mr. Markel's murder. Do you remember how long you spoke for?
I don't remember how long I spoke for.
Now, you had described your brother as a talker. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, I think I described him as more of a joker than
Joker.
a talker, but he does talk.
Do you remember the circumstances under which he made that statement that the state talked about hiring a hitman, but instead I got you this TV? Who else was around when the statement was made?
Well, he tends to repeat himself, so he kept repeating that joke because he thought it was funny.
Okay, but do you remember the time frame of when that happened? Like, was this way before, during the course of your divorce, or was this after?
It would have been when he bought the TV.
When he bought the TV, and that would be after the divorce.
Well, not after I filed for divorce, right? But not after the divorce was finalized. So sometime after, I really don't remember when I got the TV, but maybe sometime after, starting with the fall of 2012, sometime around then, but it could have been 2013.
Do you know, now your parents' apartment on South Beach, are they still living there?
No,
Okay, so they moved.
they did.
At the time, do you know how much their rent was in that apartment?
I have no idea.
You said they did not own that property?
No.
Okay. And now you said that you stayed in Tallahassee after the homicide.
I stayed for a few days.
And do you recall if Detective Isom tried to call you
After I had left,
before you left Tallahassee, but after the memorial service for Mr. Markel?
he did not call me before I left Tallahassee. No.
Did he try to call you?
He called me when I was already on the road,
Okay.
about 4 hours away from Tallahassee.
All right. Did he ever try to talk to you again?
No.
Has the prosecution? When is the first time the prosecution reached out to you to speak to you about what happened?
I don't remember ever talking with the prosecution.
Jack, question.
Let's go sidebar.
Proceed, Your Honor. Okay. Do you know if Detective Isom ever tried to reach out to your parents?
I don't think he did.
Do you know if Detective Isom ever tried to speak to your brother Charlie?
I don't think he did.
Now, you are testifying today under a state subpoena, correct?
Correct.
And that state subpoena gives you immunity for your testimony, right?
Yes.
Can you explain to the jury, since you're an attorney, what immunity is?
Immunity is freedom from prosecution.
So that means that anything you say today can't be used against you if the state decides to arrest you later on.
The state isn't going to decide to arrest me.
We need to do that.
Do you know if they consider you a suspect?
That's the big one. That's the big lizard face that comes out there. Her mask, half her mask slips off, right? She loses control over one side of her face. You can't really catch it so well on normal speed, but if we slow that puppy down.
From prosecution.
So that means that anything you say today can't be used against you if the state decides to arrest you later on.
The state is
Vicious.
Later on.
Even on quarter speed, I don't know where it is. Is that it? So her right side of her face is still got the mask on. But if you just look at the left side of her face, of her left, right? That's where the real Wendy is. And she's not happy. She's vicious.
The state isn't going to decide to arrest me.
Do you know if they consider you a suspect?
I don't know.
Now, the life insurance policy that the state was asking you about, have you received any money from the life insurance policy from Mr. Markel?
I don't know if maybe
Welcome back, Aaron. Good to see you again, my son.
in the beginning, the life insurance that Danny owed me about $100,000 when he died. I do think that his family made that disbursement. I don't know if they paid that through the life insurance policy, but other than that, there's been the life insurance policy is money put away for the kids. I've never seen it.
Do you have access to that, or you have no control over that?
I have no control over that.
All right. All right, and I have, where did you say, so your boys are now down in Miami with your mother, correct?
At the moment, yes.
And you stopped letting Danny's parent or Mr. Markel's parents see the boys, is that correct?
2 years after Danny died, I stopped visitation.
Okay, do you have any intention of letting them see their grandchildren again?
I do. We've actually been in discussion the last few weeks.
No further questions, Judge.
Redirect.
I don't know if we've got Reddit mods in here or not, Aaron, to be honest. What's your grievances, though? You can share them here, and I'm sure they'll trickle back down to the Reddit mods.
How many times have Dan's parents
Let's go wide with this thing, Aaron. Tell us your grievances, and we'll talk about them on the show.
been able to
If you like.
see your boys in the last 5 years?
In the last 2 years after they died, they've been able to see them every time they've asked to see them.
Okay, what about the last 3 years?
Since 2016, they have not been permitted to see the boys.
They have not been permitted
That's right.
by you,
By me, yes.
right? And that's not through lack of trying on their part.
No, that's because of what they did.
Okay, but they want to see those boys, don't
They
they?
very much want to see the boys.
All right. And Dan Markel's sister is I'm not sure if this is the right word, but the executor of that trust for the boys. Is that right?
I think she has fiduciary responsibility over the trust for the
All
boys.
right, thank you. That sounds right. Did you at one time hold that position in Dan's will?
Oh, before we got divorced, I probably did.
Okay, but sometime after the divorce, he changed that over to the sister.
He must have, yes.
Okay. And did you initiate proceedings to try to fight that decision that he made to make the sister?
I think C. Malone is talking about Tamara, not Tara, Aaron. Tamara Dempko, I think he's just made an error. I can't believe that Tara Kawas was sleeping with Dan. I mean, that's too far out there.
The executor or the beneficiary have the fiduciary duty for this money over you through the disbursement to your children.
Can you repeat can you
Okay,
rephrase the
so
question? for
did
me?
you initiate any type of proceeding at any point to try to contest or fight Dan Markel's sister being appointed as this fiduciary for the life insurance for the boys?
I don't believe that I did.
You did not.
I don't remember doing that, no.
No further questions.
I need your other question, this question. If you do, write it down. We'll go sidebar.
I'm not totally convinced, though, C. Malone. I mean, I know that Tamara Dempko, we're not talking about Tara Kawas here. We're talking about Tamara Dempko, the good friend of Dan, who gave a wonderfully emotionally intelligent statement to General Isom following the murder. You know, if she was sleeping with Dan at the time of his death, she was so open and forthcoming in that interview. I really do believe that she would have brought up that fact, you know. And if that were the case, she might have been concerned about her safety. I mean, if Tamara sleeping with Dan could have been a motive for his death, who's to say they're not coming after Tamara next? I really think if she was sleeping with Dan, that there would be no reason to hide it from police, and it might help the case, which she really wanted to do. And it's quite possible that she might have felt that she was in danger. So I think she would have told the police. Do you have any evidence, C. Malone, straight evidence that Tamara and Dan were fucking at the time of the death? Hang on, let's have a look at Aaron Gary's grievances. Aaron Gary says, I have been banned from the Dan Markel murder thread for absolutely no reason. I made a comment about fancy fiction being omnipotent about this case, and boom, banned. Unbelievable egomaniacs. Okay. Yeah, well, the way I hear it is that Fancy runs that thread, right? That Reddit subreddit or whatever you call it. Yeah. Well, you could create a new one, Aaron. I don't know. I don't know what to suggest. It's a shame though. Maybe is it permanent or a temporary ban? What does that mean, Aaron? Aaron says, in the interview with the Southern couple who Dan was hanging out with after the divorce, the Greenbergs, they basically said Dan, excuse me, that Dan was walking around Tally with a mattress tied to his back. What does that mean? I'm not familiar with the metaphor. Ah, okay. He had a lot of he's playing the field, having a good time. Good for him. Go out smiling. I quite like watching Wendi just sitting in silence, moving her stupid head, her slow neck movements like it's like a great white shark or a tiger shark. Oh shit.
Ms. Adelson, I don't remember what it related to exactly. I mean, I remember you saying this, and one of the jurors had a question about, you said your memory had been refreshed about something. What did you mean by that?
So over 5 years have passed since Danny died. And I'm
Speak
sorry,
to them.
sorry. So more than 5 years have passed since Danny died. And a lot of the things that we're talking about today, I just don't remember at all. And so to refresh my memory, to make sure that I could remember things, certain documents were shown to me, emails, legal pleadings from the case, so that I could remember what was happening at that time.
One of the jurors was a little confused with the timing. You had said you had a boyfriend.
If you ask me what I did for Christmas Day in the year 2007, I would need to have my memory refreshed by a lawyer. You know, couldn't tell you, no idea. But on such a significant day when Dan was shot and my children were made fatherless and we left for Miami and I was in a police station for 6-7 hours or whatever. And it was only 5 years ago. You'd remember every detail. She's a fucking lying scumbag and I don't like her.
And it was not clear to them whether you said it was a month after your separation and filing for divorce or a month after it was finalized.
Sure. So I started dating someone who was a friend of mine for many years, and it didn't become romantic until after I had filed for divorce. So about a month after I filed for divorce, someone who was a friend in my life became more like a boyfriend than a friend.
Okay. What was wrong with the television that had to be repaired?
I think one of my kids might have thrown something at it, so there was a crack in the TV.
Okay. And why have Mr. Markel's parents not been allowed to see the grandchildren?
Well, they were allowed to see the grandchildren for 2 full years, and I used to cook meals.
Yeah, so that should be enough. I mean, their son's dead, so they saw the kids for 2 years. We're moving on. We're moving to Texas. So, you know, we don't need these weird Canadian Jews coming down here, bringing little Torah key rings with them, trinkets, Jewish trinkets. Don't want it.
Meals for them and arranged play dates. We had sleepovers. And then I found out that that Ruth Markel had reached out to a foster care agency to try to place my children with that agency. And I became very worried that they were trying to take my children away from me. And so after that time, I didn't feel a level of trust that they could spend time with the kids. I was afraid they were trying to take them from me.
Okay. Follow up, Ms. Captain.
Your reference to the foster care agency, does that have to do with an email that was sent to me from your mother-in-law?
Yes, it does.
All right, that Dan's mother.
Yes.
And that email was in reference to, in the event that you and your parents were arrested in association with this crime, could I please contact that particular agency to assist with the children in the event they have no guardian temporarily until they could get down here from where they reside in Canada? Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay, so they were not trying to take your children unless there was an event where you were unable to care for them.
But because there's no event in which I would be unable to care for them, that feels like trying to take away my children.
Thank you.
Garcia.
No follow-up question.
Magbanua.
And this email about there being possible arrests of you and your family, that came right after Katherine Magbanua was arrested, right?
I don't remember exactly the timeline of that.
Okay, thank you.
Further, Ms. Captain.
No,
All right, you can step down. Do we need to keep this witness any further? Anybody need her any further? Magbanua.
One brief moment, Your Honor.
Hold on a second, Ms. Adams.
Under subpoena, Your Honor.
They,
Man, that was someone going for the door, huh?
but he need her any further?
Get me out of this room. That was intense. I'm in the lion's den.
Magbanua.
One brief moment, Your Honor.
Kind of smirks at Georgia on the way past as well. Not with eye contact, but just as good as.
Hold on a second, Ms. Adams.
Your Honor.
Hold on a second, Ms. Adams.
Under subpoena, Your Honor.
You remain under their subpoena.
Your
Right,
Honor,
you.
Ms. Adelson has a flight tonight at 7 p.m. May she
Yeah, she has a flight. She's not going to sit here and watch the trial of the people that are accused of killing her ex-husband and father of her children. Why would she? She's back to Miami. It's time for some California rolls. Or maybe pizza.
return home and
Right. You can communicate with her about any arrangements. If you need her to come back, but she's free to go at this point.
Your Honor, we'll reach out to her attorney when we.
All right, last thing I get this afternoon is probably not what you want to hear, but it was a little legal lesson that one of the jurors raised. They asked a question about the type of immunity that was discussed by Ms. Adelson. It's really not a fact question, it's a legal question. So this is a little legal lesson. In the state of Florida, there are three kinds of immunity. There's transactional immunity, there's use immunity, there's use and derivative use immunity. Transactional immunity means that some person cannot be prosecuted for an offense. Use immunity means that what the person says cannot directly be used against them. Use and derivative use immunity means that what they say cannot be used against them, nor can it be used to develop leads to gather evidence against them. The type of immunity that Ms. Adelson has received, because I have been the one that explained it to her, is use and derivative use immunity. In other words, what she says today cannot be used directly against it, nor can it be used to develop leads against her. She does not have transactional immunity. I mean, she could be prosecuted for the crimes involved, but what she said cannot be used against her, nor used for any leads to develop information. So hopefully that answers.
Okay, we are done with 2019. One done, one down, two to go before we start Sarah Burns. We'll be back tomorrow night, folks, A little earlier. Let's try and do 7 o'clock, 7:30 Eastern. Around then, I'll put up the stream as early as I can in the morning, the notifications. So please do follow us on social networks. Please do support us on buymeacoffee.com. And please do leave a like and a share and a comment on the video on your way out. Yeah? Excellent work, guys. Thanks so much for the comments. Great to see some old faces. I hope you can sort these grievances out. Dude, Aaron. Yeah, but I don't know if you can, you know. I mean, if she owns the thread, yeah, I don't know. That's why I like True Crime Metrix, because it's an open forum. You know, unless someone comes in here claiming Wendy's innocent, they're instantly blocked. Oh, not instantly. There was a guy that came on and I didn't block him because I figured he must be educationally challenged, you know, special needs or something. I thought maybe this guy's just got a hobby and, you know, he wants to live in this fantasy world. So I didn't act on it immediately. But then he came back and said that he wasn't disabled mentally, and we had to kick him out. But that's a special case. Yeah, it takes a lot to rattle these feathers. Anyway, thanks again, guys, and we will see you a little earlier tomorrow. We're going to let you go with our outro and say, don't be an Adelson, don't be a Wendi Adelson, and always be a Ruth Markel. Okay?